Alright, we're back. Let's get back into the swing of things. It does look like maintenance costs are increasing again, which is, you know, lovely. But I should be able to handle it without too much difficulty. I just need some time. I probably should get around to building certain buildings too. Yeah, that'd be smart. Although then again, with the 2 million budget, well, 2 million treasury, I think I can afford being in the negatives pretty easily, so that's that big of an actual problem. Let's check. Oop, okay. It's a good thing I did. Oh, hey, kangaroo herd. Time to plot the forest. I'll do one over here in the quarry tile as well. And maybe also that other tile, I'm not sure if I can plant a city yet. I received a Spartacus. Oh, how do I leave? Okay. Just rest and recover. There's really not much I can do. Okay, new spot to settle a city. I can either focus on connecting these 4 cities together properly by plopping a city down around here-ish. Yeah, he would probably be the best spot. Or maybe a bit further out. I mean, part of the problem is I settled the city specifically so I could have, in effect, a canal through here, allowing me to skip past this entirety. I could also settle the city down here, but it would probably be best to focus on ensuring that I have good placement. Exploit as many tiles as possible and keep the cities pretty evenly balanced. Here's another good spot, so I can ensure that I at least get these tiles. Coverage here might be a bit more difficult, but... Or I could settle on this side and then just plop a fort here and be done with it. course, there's also the question of the next city. Yeah. What is the optimal placement? And I don't think I can actually design an algorithm that does that. So, not truly. Okay, so that would leave the spices out of the picture. And also, yeah, both spice houses out of the picture. Unless I place this like here-ish. That's what I'll probably end up doing. I don't think I'm going to place this here. Those are very old ruins. I know that. I mean, new enough for a pasture to be here. Yes. Or, of course, I could just place one here. Or here. Honestly, here would be a bit better. And maybe another one further out. Nah, I gotta go for the easier to direct stuff first, so here. Commerce Industry, River Authority, Naval Shipping Warehouse, Hotel. I possibly need to reduce crime. Yeah, the bailiwick and it should be enough on its own. Paleontology lab. I'll wait on the shell worker just in case. Pickization, that. Go straight for the chemistry lab and the biology lab. I can handle the rest in a bit. Straight up tundra. I can't even build a workshop here. Or plant trees. I guess I can do at least that. Start planting trees everywhere that I can. In order to increase production. Set up a forest there. Maybe we'll grow into the point of usability down the line. Well, it should. But there has definitely been a tendency for stuff to get annoying. Let's see. Doesn't need. I've already improved most of the tiles around here. It really doesn't need it, so. Focus on building a functional path between the two cities. Oh! Polar bear folklore. I haven't gotten a polar bear yet. Alright, new city. Time to get started. So it has to be better than 2 turns. Thankfully, there's quite a few like that. Okay, there's 2 like that. Agroforest, Modern Earthworks. The Agroforest is very far away, and the Modern Earthworks is still quite a distance away. After that is Ancient Customs. Although, 40 turns is a while. It's not going to hit the population necessary for anything to really change, though. That's assuming it doesn't change priorities partway through. Lumber Camp, 13 turns for 3. Okay, so Vine Gatherer, and Lumber Camp. The Carpenter is apparently +2 production for now, so no. The Ancient Customs are here, okay. Still build that though. Bark Gatherer, no, because Lumber Mill. Not Ancient Customs. Nothing else is fast enough, well, efficient enough. There, that's the plan for a while. What's funny is that I might actually get nationalism just from Tails. Why do you not have a... Oh. Lead smelter, not lead smith. Okay. Let's get those traps built. Farm some silk. Let's also get a bank. So I can build that patent office. Trees.
A man does not have himself killed for a halfpence a day or for a petty distinction. You must speak to the soul in order to electrify him.
It is quite simple, really. It is far easier to convince someone to go and, you know, fight if they believe they are defending something. Doesn't have to be true. With enough, you can pump people with enough propaganda to make it so that they believe it is so. Though that is somewhat unstable. Nah, I don't need gold standard. Yeah. Maybe I should start talking about the gold standard. The gold standard. There's a very good reason why we don't use it anymore. Like, very, very good reason. It is not worth using that. I think... I don't know how it would speed up... Fine. The gold standard. It's a bit of an old thing. I mean, I've talked about the history of coinage and whatnot. But the gold standard was the start of the idea that the government has to back the currency, the value of currency. it was a means of using fiat money without it actually being fiat. So, for example, the paper money from times past. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Oh, it's kind of okay. Oh, you need a fur farm. But the idea was that in order to ensure, well, maybe I should have more context. Yeah, it's been a while. So, it's late Middle Ages, early Renaissance, well, late Renaissance actually, early industrial Europe. We're at the height of the modern period, which I define by the early modern. So I define the modern period as early modern is well, starts with the end of the Middle Ages, which is conveniently defined as the fall of Rome, not that Rome. That's the start of the early modern period. When the high modern period itself, I'd say is after the League Wars ended. Oh yeah, right. I need to replace the forest there. So saddening. I can see why I didn't do that. I don't need a material there anyway. Starts with the League Wars, and then I'd say ends with Napoleon. That, I think, and, it's very thematic because it ends with yet another fall of Rome. And then, yeah, so that's the high modern period in the vein of the high Middle Ages. And then the late modern period is after Napoleon, so when the Industrial Revolution started, and ended with the fall of the Russian Empire and the start of the Soviet Union. So, the fall of yet another Rome. Around here, we define our time periods based upon when Rome fell. Doesn't matter which Rome it is. And thus started the postmodern period. The thing is, I'm not sure if we're still in the postmodern period. I would need to live a long time later to be able to define that effectively, so I won't even bother with that. Because, to be perfectly succinct, it's not really important in a lot of cases. But yes, it's the high modern period. The high modern era. Banks are becoming more and more a thing now that people are beginning to care less and less about religious stipulations against usury. Double that with the fact that the Protestant Reformation often had well, basically said, go ham with it, for lack of a better way to put it. And so they did. And it's, the UK, home of a lot of innovations of the sort. And banks are popping up everywhere. Now, in order to expand their businesses beyond being, storehouses for money and lenders, they decided to start using banknotes, which were basically pieces of paper signed by the bank that you could turn in, and you could get that value of money from that bank. This was a form of paper money that was privately backed. Now, there were issues with this. Of course there were issues with this. The simple reason is, what happens to the banknotes if the bank goes under? And the answer is pretty simple. They become pieces of paper that are barely worth, you know, what was printed on. Yeah, it's that simple. That was the biggest singular issue with it. Also, you had to go to that bank in order to turn it in, so despite what was printed, being its actual value, technically speaking, it became less and less valuable the further away you were from said bank. Which, of course, makes plenty of sense. After all, that's just how it is. Of course, this was ridiculously unstable, because unlike nowadays, where governments back banks to the bitter end. Ooh, free lighthouse in every city. Yeah, Namiya was busy building the Bell Rock Lighthouse. It's a capybara. At best, it can only get me a beaver farm, beaver camp, which isn't that valuable. City bistro, neat. Yeah, that's actually new. It sure could be plenty of money too. Desperately need gold mine, jade mine, jade carver, jade importer, lime maker. Oh, I need a bank. There it is. Let's get a hand water pump. Wait, no, there's a wind water pump coming up, isn't it? Requires water tower. Okay. Yeah. What was I thinking of? Oh yeah, gold standard. Yeah, this was the era before um, governments backed banks to the bitter end. Instead, banks were kind of looked down upon by the government a lot. And it was very easy for one to go under, like completely under. Basically, despite everything, your money was definitely not safe in there. And those banknotes had a habit of becoming very useless very quickly. Dance hall. And an entertainer. Um... Oh, I'm not missing the blood dance? Perhaps that... I don't need to do an entertainer. Okay. Silversmith, goldsmith. Market. Oil lamps. Tapestry maker's workshop. Temple of On. Jeweler. Starfort. Harbor master's office. Okay. Oh, great. Another city to work with. Ghost Industry, Hotel, Technology Lab, Ornithology Lab, Foxtrap, Catcher, Furniture Maker. Jade Carver, Juggling, Seamstress, Poison Crafter, Furrier. Textile Mills, a bit down the line. Hatter. That. Blood Hunters is hot. Beadworker. Fresco Mural. Craft Set. Cockfighting Ring. Yeah, let's leave it at that for a while. Okay. Yeah. So when banks went bust, people lost their money. A lot of people did. So banknotes were notoriously risky to work with. And always less valuable than the money they were printed, than, you know, the number printed on them. Eventually, this got to the point where, well, I mean, the government wanted more control over this sort of thing. And they saw the banknote idea and decided this was a good thing to replicate. However, they needed to back it somehow. And so, gold standard. If you walked over to the bank with one of these paper pieces, or paper notes, you could request, you know, gold. And you will get that much gold, after all. The government was the printer of money and there was no way to well, the idea was there was no way to be sure that a different version of the currency would be valuable, especially considering potential issues. So, exactly as you may expect, gold was the most reasonable alternative here to anything specific and, you know, actually printed. Of course, well, the idea was somewhat reasonable. It did, yeah. Fact of the matter is, what we have today shows that a gold standard is not necessary. In fact, to some degree, it's actively detrimental. Should I explain this? Yeah, okay. So, one of the biggest reasons why the gold standard is a bad idea is that it restricts the amount of currency inside the economy. Now, before some of you think this is a good thing, at least with the way economies nowadays are set up, and honestly, since the early modern period, no, yeah, high modern period, deflation is bad. Very bad. Everyone complains about inflation, but deflation is, well, it's a slow killer, or a fast one, of economies. If there simply is not enough money to work with inside of an economy, then what happens is pretty much what you expect. Trade becomes less common. And that's just the start of it. Trade is the center point of the economy. It's the exchange of goods between people. And what deflation does is it means that the money that you have becomes more valuable over time. And people notice that. So what is the optimal strategy for an individual person during that time? Simple. Hoard. Hoard your money and spend as little as possible. Because it means down the line it'll be more valuable. Now imagine what happens if everyone starts doing that. Yeah, stuff gets bad fast. Exchange of goods slows down. Did I just click executioner? No. Okay, great. Yeah, some basic stuff and also a bank. And that's really bad for the economy. Because it causes everything to start crashing to a halt. Companies close down, people stop buying stuff, stop getting paid, etc. And that's an inevitable result of the gold standard. Because that decouples money from the economy, the quantity of currency. The quantity of currency, instead, becomes linked to mining potential. Usually, but not always, the mining potential of said country to obtain gold. As a result, when a new gold vein is discovered, you get a sudden burst of inflation. Because now you have a ton of people. Oops. That's probably one of the worst upgrades to get for a worker. No, at least for where I'm setting it. And catastrophic amounts of that too. What happens if the economy crashes? Well, you also get large amounts of inflation too. Oh my god. Okay. Give me a minute. Ship of the line. Start of the queue, please. And hurry. That's going to cause me some inflation. I know that. Yep. Okay, I know I already have all the fur farms of every city on this continent. All that's left are fox traps, which cost next to no production. It's not worth the time involved in setting it up, so no. Because, yeah, you get massive inflation again, which is exactly what you would expect, because there's still all that gold sitting around unless someone steals it. Which could actually happen. Train robberies, anyone?
Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win.
Side note, this graphic is actually from Final Frontier. This specific one, for the promotion. Yeah. What is military? I remember wanting military tradition for some reason. Oh, +1 XP in all cities. Jeez. Oh yeah, military academies. No, that's not what I was looking for. Firing range. Crime insubordination. Okay, tattooer upgrade to tattoo parlor. Oh, drill 4. Right, I want to drill 4. So I can add here to one of my units. Which one was it? Wasn't it a ship? Oh no, it was that ship, wasn't it? Fast galleons. Yeah. What happens if the economy booms? Well, suddenly you have a massive amount of deflation because the gold production just can't keep up. With, again, fairly predictable results when that does occur. I've already mentioned why, I've already explained why deflation's bad. Okay. Heck, deflation can occur if the economy grows normally and no one can find any gold. As I said, it's pretty simple. Oh, neat. Oh, it's within city borders too, so it can actually be... Oh wait, no, I've already mined it. Okay, never mind. It's no big deal. Be gone. Oh, August is finally working on it. Okay. He doesn't have a connection yet because it's surrounded by tiles. Otherwise it would have trade routes. And, you know, access to actual resources, which is why it's so unhappy. It's also the reason why it's shrinking in size. There's not exactly much I can do about it, except wait for the barb influence to vanish, which will take some time. Say 20, 30 turns. But it will happen eventually. Just being a friendly neighbor, no ulterior motives here. And I did mention catastrophic inflation. Yeah. Simply put, the gold industry is not the entire economy. And it has its own growth and decline on its own. It will not necessarily follow that. The rest of the economy in growing and declining. Yeah, this tile. Yeah, this tile's the best tile for placing the city. That's a simple reason. As for some actual numbers, remembering that last time's mild miss, maybe you should look up calculated inflation charts for U.S. history, especially during what was called, for gold rush times, like the late 1800s. So, you know, the late modern period. That's still a young forest. I planted that ages ago. When is it gonna turn into an actual forest? Admittedly, I'm well aware of the fact that the turns are... I've already mined the tile. Where it's iron. I'm well aware that the game is starting to slow down for real, as the turns are taking longer for me to get through. Although I am trying my best to get through this stuff quickly. I have automated a lot of elements as best as I can. Though some things are a bit unavoidable. Okay, with that, there's finally an actual connection to the rest of the world. Yep, it's trading. It's probably taking this river route. Because it can take rivers through enemy territory. Well, when it's covered by enemy territory on both sides, but if it's only on one side, it's fine. Apparently. Okay, zoo, marsupial, bear, taxidermist. Think. Let me just open these all up at once. And culture bomb. Okay, now head back. Yeah, I don't have anything for you to do. Just wait until I can improve the tile. A little bit of military music. Yeah, look up inflation numbers for the time period for the US. I'm not sure if they're actually 100% accurate. They may just be approximations, but still, it is very eye-opening to see one year 20% inflation, and then the next year negative 20%. Sure, it gets especially bad if, you know, hyperinflation can only happen with a fiat currency. Or at least to the degree of, say, you know, Hungary or Germany or Zimbabwe, to name the famous examples. But at least it gives a degree of moderation to the economy. It's more suitable to being connected to the economic growth rather than a specific industry. You know, the gold industry. Plus 5% gold in all cities. Or international dog show. Perhaps Globe Theater. Scarborough Fair would give me a lot more culture. I probably should build some of the earlier buildings so that I don't get hit wandered. Sure, why not do that? I mean, natural close learning is probably soonish. So I may as well build the wonder before it stops being useful. Skip the hunting dog trainer. I don't need to build a tavern. Okay, I require the blood dance for that. Don't have a dance hall. Okay, I do need a 2 or 2. Where's the... That's too far. Where's the dance hall? There it is. And entertainer, entertainer. There you are. But assuming... Ooh. You're not sure. Assuming that whoever ends up controlling the currency itself is actually reasonably competent, this is, so far, the only system that can actually keep up with economic growth. There might be another system that we come up with down the line. After all, the current system we have was basically built upon the backs of former ideas. Like, the whole fiat currency thing is built around the more modern concept that, well, of what is currency. And that is just, you know, an abstract, agreed upon value. We might get a new understanding sometime down the line with new ideas, new technologies, etc. And eventually we might come up with something different. Interesting, more accurate, perhaps. Science is something we build up over time. And that's even true of the less scientific things like economics, which I stand by on calling less scientific. Because, oh my, is it ridiculous, the stuff that economics can get away with. It is absurd. But that's neither here nor there. Someday I might find the time to rant about the travesty that is economics, but I don't think that today is that day. We might be here for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, instead of the 1 hour that I try to put these through, but I'm inevitably not going to get to. Yeah, replaceable parts to the textile mill. I need to stop building seamstresses. Okay, that should be enough for Saipon's queue for a while. No matter how completely unorthodox that was and chaotic. Okay, I need to check. Okay, so you're probably missing everything. Yeah. You need the blood dance, you need the tattooer. The blood dance requires the dance hall. I think. I'm not actually sure. I remember the dance hall being a bit... not... the blood dance being a bit weird on its requirements. But I'm still going to build it, just in case. I turned you into a regular worker. Well. Pyrrha needs some time in order to actually set up properly. Defend. Oh, time to do the same old, same old. Flint, grass, reeds are all better than the mining camp in efficiency. Even if it's just barely. After that, set up ancient customs. 77 turns. Lumber camp's better for sure. Bamboo Grove and the Vine Gatherer are both, and I guess the Rattan Grove are both all better than the lumber camp. But that's it. There's nothing that's efficient enough to keep up with the ancient customs. That's now its turn, and after that, tannery, and then trading post in order to build the be able to build the engineering school. The engineering school gives me, like right now, plus 11 production, I think. No. Natural gas. Wait, there's wheat here? Do I even have a source of wheat? I don't know if I have wheat. Huh. Okay, I need a bank. Let me get that as well. Let me get the spice forge as well. Let me get this mine and the goat breeder. It's gambling done. Plumber's workshop. Yeah, I'm becoming a little more hesitant on building some of the early buildings. Because I know for a fact they're going to, well, get replaced soon enough. I do wonder where that other ship went to. After it ran and hid. Because of course it did. Jeez. The lag. I don't need a culture bomb, but I'll take this. Build some dog kennels. I don't need to do that later. Plant another forest here. Yeah. At least insofar as we have a physical currency, the fiat currency is simply the best solution. Okay, so there's no planting of forest there, but I can upgrade that shaft mine if I want to take the time, instead of letting it happen naturally. I want to do it right away instead of, letting it happen naturally. Oh, neat. It already built up enough culture to just... Yeah. Like 200 culture per turn. Just from traits and heritage. Yeah, well, actually, yeah. Pretty much. Base culture, 140. I'm not sure if I have wheat. If I don't, this will be a boon. If I were to do... Oh, well. Okay. Flint Gatherer, Papyrus Grove. Build the engineering school for 11 production. Okay, good to know. Foundry. Okay, so plus 15% is plus 10% production. You lack a forge, which is very strange to me. But okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to charge these headphones. Alright. I trust the tannery on what it says. So I should actually build that before anything else. The toolmaker will be antique shop. We'll have to wait for that. Technically, the roper is faster than the engineering school, and the clay pit, I'd say, is fast enough, even if just barely. Same with the hematite gatherer. It is technically less efficient, but it gets done sooner, so I get the production earlier, making building that easier, cheaper, etc. Then the surveyor's office, because I'm not building the forge where I can easily build the foundry instead. Then the treadmill crane. And then the foundry. Nothing, there's just simply nothing fast enough to keep up. And then it will have to be the guild hall and, well, etc. Is the city at least? Yeah, Oguz is back to growing. Neat. Alright. Hunker down until I get Honolulu to build another combo. Yeah. Definitely not getting to industrial this session, but for sure next one. Exactly how long it will take depends on how thoroughly I stall ending this session. Because it's guaranteed to happen, isn't it? Although I might just end it right after Grand War. Yeah.
Only a fool or fraud talks tough or romantically about war.
There are a lot of frauds who have a vested interest in starting wars. Mortar, metal war, great metal war. Yes, some more military academies. As well as the Congress of Vienna. Right, yeah. I'll handle the turnstile. It's random chance. That's the only explanation. Grove. Fine, take a turn to heal. Okay. No cities to do that with. Alright. So, we're pretty much finished with the Renaissance tech tree. Industrial will be coming soon. Yeah, there is. The industrial portion of the tree is actually pretty short, but it's very densely packed. Honestly, a bit like medieval. Or honestly, classical. Classicals are fairly densely packed up until the very end. I mean, the first three rows are fully. The first three columns are fully packed. After that, it peters out a bit, but look at industrial. These two are fully packed. And unlike classical, where there's spurts of where there's only three, this There are 2 spots, columns, where it's 4. And everything else is just more. Except for, of course, you know, the lifestyle texts that are used to herald the next era. It should actually get me a burst of tech and all that because, well, not just first to research, but higher education level possibilities. Anyway, I really should finish up. It's getting late. So, I've actually set up 2 cities in this session. And I'm going to at least put more effort into remembering to do so. Next is Honolulu is currently busy building the Piazza San Marco, which will provide a free market in every city, so I no longer need to build those. The city still has some things it needs to build. But I think I'll set it up to do yet another set of... Well, when do we get pioneers? Yeah, +2 population. Okay. Steam power. Do I grab that one as a free tack? I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that next time. And maybe to help me put it off a bit longer, I'm gonna add a couple buildings to the building queue. Let's see here. Flower farms, yeah. Monasteries. Workshops. Paper maker. Counting firm. Spice voyage. Pet shop. There, that should keep the city busy for a while. Hopefully I'll remember to do the settler stuff. Yeah, and I also griped about the gold standard a lot. And why it's a bad idea. I've additionally caused Ugas to settle down, and I'm now working on setting them up. I've also built a connecting road to Persia. No ulterior motives here, none whatsoever. How could you ever suggest such a thing? uh, but yeah, I'll continue settling along the coast here, and maybe around here too. Although, yeah, these need to be taken care of at some point. I'm definitely not being threatening with that. But I can at least say that large portions of my own, I mean, this spot's still a bit dangerous, but large portions of my coastline are now safe from barb spawns. Along my home region, which is what I consider Mononesia plus Byzantium, Ethiopia, and the outlying islands associated. This tile still weirds me out. It's just one tile with a forest on it. No resources on the tile. No resources in adjacent tiles. What am I supposed to do with this? I mean, I eventually plan on handling more regions, of course. Eventually, I need to ensure that that's under control on the southern continent. Otherwise, that becomes, um, well, hives of villainy and scum. Deep frozen. I mean, if I plop a city on this tile, I should be able to reach every single... Yes, I will easily reach every single tile here. that these are the only two useful tiles, because ice is awful. Thankfully, that's the only portion that's... Okay, there are 3 land portions in the southern continent. This one, which is terrible. This one, which has some utility, because at least there's a natural wonder here. I can't use every tile, but I can use all the important ones, like this mammoth right here. This tundra and permafrost tile. It's a hills tile here. Again, natural wonder. And then this here, which actually has, you know, taiga biome. And is very, very large. Settling this is going to annoy me so much, but there is another mammoth here. And the sea is actually fairly populated with resources. Compared to, you know, this. What am I to do with you? I mean, I don't actually need to take it if it's constantly covered in animals. But I should, just on principle. It's not a world conquest if you leave a single island alone. Unless you're talking about speedrunning a EU4 world conquest for the steppe horde. Taking less than 2 decades, I think is the current world record. Something obnoxious like that. Using, of course, an absurd number of money glitches. Anyway, I'll see you again next time. Until then.